Arrogant sheriff cuffed a single dad eating breakfast, unaware he was the FBI. The sheriff slammed the handcuffs around Daniel Carter's wrists before the single father could finish his first bite of breakfast. His little daughter froze beside him, her hand still resting on his arm, as every person in the diner turned to watch. Daniel didn't fight back. He didn't shout. He simply looked at his frightened daughter and whispered that everything would be okay. What nobody in that diner knew was that the quiet man being humiliated in front of his child was not an ordinary father. He was an FBI agent who had spent years putting dangerous criminals behind bars, and that morning, he was undercover. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and never judging someone before knowing their story, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, leave a comment, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness for more emotional stories. It had been 6 months since Daniel had lost his wife. Since then, every morning had been a battle. He had learned how to pack school lunches, braid his daughter Lily's hair badly enough that she sometimes laughed at him, work long hours, and still find the strength to read her a bedtime story. Lily was 8 years old, but grief had made her quieter than most children her age. Daniel had promised her that no matter how difficult life became, he would always be there. That morning, they stopped at a small roadside diner before Lily's school. Daniel ordered eggs, toast, and coffee while Lily happily ate pancakes, unaware that her father had been awake most of the night reviewing a classified case. Daniel was investigating a corruption network involving stolen evidence, illegal weapons, and officials who had been protecting criminals for years. His superiors believed someone inside the county sheriff's department was involved. Daniel had been ordered to remain undercover until he could identify the person responsible. That was why he had come to the diner dressed like an ordinary father instead of an FBI agent. He had no badge around his neck, no weapon on his belt, and no reason to reveal who he really was. Then Sheriff Raymond Cole walked through the diner door. Cole was known throughout the county as a powerful man who rarely apologized and never tolerated being questioned. He spotted Daniel immediately. Someone had apparently reported seeing a suspicious man matching Daniel's description near an abandoned warehouse the previous night. The sheriff marched toward the table, demanded identification, and accused Daniel of trespassing and interfering with an investigation. Daniel calmly explained that there had been a misunderstanding and asked the sheriff to speak privately. But Cole had already decided what he wanted everyone to believe. In front of Lily, the sheriff grabbed Daniel's arm and forced it behind his back. The little girl screamed and begged him to stop. Daniel could have resisted. He could have revealed his badge and ended the humiliation instantly. But he remembered his orders. More importantly, he knew that if the corrupt person inside the department was watching, revealing himself could destroy the entire investigation. So he swallowed his anger and allowed the handcuffs to close around his wrists. Lily stood beside the table with tears running down her cheeks, asking why they were taking her daddy away. Daniel looked at her and told her that sometimes good people have to stay calm when bad things happen, because the truth has a way of finding its way into the light. Those words broke something inside the sheriff's deputy standing nearby. The deputy had children of his own, and watching a little girl cry while her father was treated like a criminal made him uncomfortable. Daniel was taken outside, but before he reached the patrol car, his phone vibrated. It was a coded message from his FBI team. They had discovered something shocking. The warehouse Daniel had secretly been investigating was connected directly to Sheriff Cole's closest lieutenant. Suddenly, everything became clear. The sheriff had not simply made a mistake. He had recognized Daniel's undercover identity and was trying to scare him away before the FBI could uncover the truth. But Cole had made one terrible mistake. He had forgotten that Daniel had already placed a secure recording device inside the diner before breakfast. Every word spoken by the sheriff had been captured. Every accusation. Every threat. Every mention of the warehouse. And when federal agents arrived minutes later, Daniel's handcuffs became the last thing Sheriff Cole expected to see, because they were placed on the sheriff himself. The diner fell silent as FBI agents entered. Daniel finally revealed his badge, and the deputy who had watched everything happen lowered his eyes in shame. Cole's confidence disappeared instantly. The evidence collected during the investigation was enough to expose a network of corruption that had operated for years. Several officials were arrested, and the innocent people who had been falsely accused by the department finally had a chance to tell their stories. But Daniel didn't celebrate. He walked back into the diner and knelt beside Lily. She threw her arms around him so tightly that he nearly lost his balance. Daniel held her close and told her that he had kept his promise. He had come back. The waitress, who had watched the entire scene, quietly brought Lily another stack of pancakes. She refused to charge Daniel for breakfast that morning. Then the deputy approached Daniel and apologized, not only for what had happened, but for every time he had remained silent while people were treated unfairly. Daniel simply told him that admitting a mistake was the first step toward becoming better. Weeks later, Daniel returned to the same diner with Lily. The sheriff was gone, the corruption had been exposed, and the community was beginning to heal. On the wall near their table, someone had placed a small handwritten sign that read, "Never judge a person by the moment you see them in." Daniel smiled when he read it. Because sometimes the person being humiliated is secretly fighting for everyone else. Sometimes the quietest person in the room carries the greatest responsibility. And sometimes kindness begins with something as simple as believing someone deserves to be heard. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like the video, share it with someone who believes in kindness, and subscribe to Echoes of Kindness. Your support helps these stories reach people who may need a little hope today. Before we end, comment, "Kindness always wins," if you believe everyone deserves dignity, compassion, and a second chance. Because Daniel's greatest victory was never exposing the sheriff. It was teaching his daughter that even when the world treats you unfairly, you should never allow someone else's cruelty to take away your kindness.